it up.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons. My name is Fergus. I'm your host. We're going to talk all things Arsenal. They're back in Blighty, episode 308, not 306 as it says on the graphic. Here we go.
Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. This is your Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Enjoy the show.
Hello, guys. How are you? Trevor, you do it this becoming a habit. You keep on doing this to me every time. Just before I press the go live button, you say, don't mess it up. I honestly, and the last couple of times I've had to mute out bits. You're a fucker, you are.
Language. My mother-in-law's watching Fergus. Language.
This is a PG show.
Okay. I promise I won't tell your mother-in-law, your wife, and your sister-in-law exactly what you've been up to today. But this way, you're gonna have to do an awful lot of work to work that off.
Oh, I love it. Listen, I've had a great afternoon. I have, because the missus and the dog away. So every room, I normally have to keep all the doors in the house shut to keep the missus out. But all the doors in the house are open. My shoes are down by the front door. There's no washing up done. I've been out and had fish and chips, 4 pints, and a big tub of rum and raisin ice cream, and I'm enjoying life. But if I'm honest, I do miss her. She's gone over to see the mother-in-law and the sister-in-law. Hopefully she'll have a great time. Well, I know she'll have a great time over there. The only trouble is they're both Man United fans, the sister and mother-in-law. So, sweetheart, if you're watching this, just make sure you wipe your feet before you come home, yeah? All right, have a great time, though.
The thing out there, she's texting me, you're in trouble.
Whoops.
Oops. You know what? The thing is, which Del will be aware as well, he was going to get a tattoo this afternoon, and he sent us a picture of the mock-up. Donna would have loved you if you came home like that.
I just thought he might have been a bit over the top with the belly as well. You know, it was a bit full on. So
easier on the eye. Easier on the eye.
Yeah.
Dale, how are you? Literally, you jumped on about 2 seconds before we went live. So have you cracked up on a beer yet?
I have, and I've got a spare one next to me as well for when that one's empty. But I'm almost in holiday mode. I fly out onto my family holiday on Wednesday. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, shout out to Irish Mick as well, because he talked about flights after our trip to Porto. He was listening to the podcast, and he got delayed on his family holiday on the way back, and he got some compensation from that. But don't worry, I have invoiced him. It will be in lager form. Trevor, 2 pints, I think, isn't it? And I've got to have at least 2, being Irish.
Yeah, absolutely 2, yeah. The missus is watching, and the missus is coming with me to the first game of the season. So the chances of me having more than 2 are 100%.
Listen, we also had a shout out on Twitter from James Lang. James was out doing some gardening or something like that today, and he wanted to listen to a podcast. So people who are watching this, if you want to sit in the tube or in your car or something, you can listen to this by going to any audio platform. But we would say also go over to YouTube and click on the subscribe button, because it just helps us along the way. So we're going to talk today the US tour, the last game of it. Just a general verdict of the tour and the overseas things. I know myself, Dale, and Sophie had a chat about it last week. We're going to talk about your trip to the directors area at the Lincoln City Stadium for the under-21 games. One of 246 away fans that were there. We'll talk about the Emirates Cup squad transformation and just the evolution of the squad under Emery, Arteta, and how it's going now, and a little bit on the transfer window, etc. So, Del, did you manage to stay up, or did either one of you stay up and watch the Arsenal versus Liverpool game?
No, I watched the highlights the next morning, but no, it's too late for me. I'm in bed by 10 o'clock most nights.
We fell 2-0 behind, Trevor. Mo Salah got the first goal, and Fabio Carvalho got the second, but Kai Havertz pulled one back. Have I fucked that up as well, have I?
No, your language.
No, you didn't.
You put me in a bad mood, Trevor. That's what you've done. You put me in a bad.
He's put me in a really good mood. To be fair, Trev's on one side. You can just tell. You've made my night, Trev. Keep going.
Well, I don't know if you got it right, Fergus, because I didn't watch it. I wouldn't stay up all night to watch it, and I've not had a chance to watch all of it back. So I can't really comment, mate. I'll tell you what, right? I'm just glad the American tour's over because it looks like the Arsenal Football Club did our American fans proud. They were out meeting, the players were out meeting the fans. They had fans on the pitch singing songs. They had the gold trophy out to have a picture with the fans. It was wonderful. And I'm sure our American fans had an amazing time. And I can't wait for them to do some of them things when they get back going into the season in England. I can't wait to have my picture with the gold trophy or go on the field and start singing. Looking forward to it, yeah.
So Trevor, you say that in slightly tongue-in-cheek, but how do you actually feel about an overseas tour, the American tour, how the overseas fans get treated in comparison to fans who go there every week? And listen, it's going to be impossible for them on Saturday, the 17th, for us to all queue up and have a look at the golden trophy and have our photo taken with it, because just the logistics of it all. But
yeah,
go on, you say what you think.
Look, mate, it's absolutely tongue-in-cheek, right? It's absolutely tongue-in-cheek. If anything, I'm a bit jealous of what the Arsenal did for our American fans, but good luck to them. We've got a load of great American fans. A lot of them come over during the season. Some of them come over many times during the season, and they're very committed fans. And I love the fact that Arsenal go there and get really involved with them. When I say I'm looking forward to it being done here, I'm just saying it a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I'd just like to be able to enter a competition where I didn't have to use reward points to enter it. You know, just if you're giving away a shirt, give away a shirt. If you're going to open up the field at Arsenal, open it up and invite a few people. But I understand the logistics are massively different, and it is difficult to do. So I'm speaking tongue-in-cheek. I don't mean to upset anybody, and I do love it. I know a lot of our American fans now. We talk to lots of them, don't we? And I love them all. They're all brilliant, committed fans of the Arsenal.
What did you make of the tour? And following on from our conversation with Sophie last week, Dale, what did you make of the tour? I'm not getting up at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning, and fair play to the ones that are right around the world that do, etc. But not for a friendly game.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know what? I love the fact that they take these tours across to the States. I've got a cousin who lives over in the US, you see, and he went to a game. The one thing that surprised me, which I don't agree with necessarily, is some of these fans have waited a long time to see the Arsenal. And I don't know where the pricing comes from, who decides the pricing. But when I heard some of these ticket prices are upwards of like $250, $300, if that was over here, we'd be screaming blue murder. I don't know if it's because certain people within the club or at the stadiums these games are at are trying to take advantage of the people that want to see the games. But I don't know, the pricing got me a little bit, if I'm honest with you. I didn't realise how expensive these tickets were.
I think that's just par for the course for a sporting event in America. They just seem to be very, very expensive. Trevor, one thing that did, and I didn't bring it up last week with Sophie because I thought it would be inappropriate to do so, but it's just that the fan base over there, whilst there are great fans overseas and right around the world, their understanding of the etiquette of football and soccer, as they'd call it, is sometimes wanting. For example, there was this picture from, I think it was the SoFi Stadium, of a Tottenham Hotspur fan greeting the Arsenal fans around him. Could you imagine the welcome he'd get in the Emirates if he'd done that in the home end?
Well, of course, we don't have to imagine. We know the welcome he'd get. But it's America. That's how they treat their sport, I suppose, and that's what happens. I mean, I've got no problem with anything that went on in America. As a matter of fact, our fans that go over from the UK on the American tours are the most committed fans I know, right? I'm jealous of them, and I don't mind saying it. I'll watch them on social media setting off on their journeys and the pictures they take over there, and I'm jealous. I wish I could do it, but I can't. For an example, one of them is that committed. He got back from the US on Saturday morning, a friend of mine, absolutely jet lagged to hell, but he was in Lincoln to watch the under-21 Saturday afternoon. They are that committed. So I've got no problem with what went on the tour. I think that football is all about making money nowadays, so they price it in a way that they think that the fans are going to pay. They get what they can. They get as much as they can. They get every penny out of us. We know that here, and the Americans know that over there. It's sport nowadays. But for me, I didn't watch the games as such, but for the pictures I've seen, neither of the stadiums looked anywhere near full.
No, that was the very first games. Sophie went through this. The very first game wasn't done by the same PR company and organizational company, and that was the Bournemouth game, and it was a very late edition. But the other stadiums were, especially the one against Liverpool, that was a sellout in Philadelphia. SoFi Stadium was also sold out. But yeah, as BX Gunner 81 says, $200 to $300 to watch half a team is criminal. But a question would be, how much would it be to see your local baseball, hockey, team in to do that? It's probably relative, because I know my brothers have been to the Cubs and to see the Bears. They've been to all the Boston teams as well, and it is a lot of money, and the price of beer and stuff like that is ridiculous as well.
I went to watch a Yankees baseball game.
Tell them the full story. You bought the cheap seats.
I did buy the cheap seats, but the cheap seats, what the point I'm making is it was very expensive evening. I mean, it was a very expensive evening, even in the cheap seats. Beer was the most extortionate price I've ever had. I had to stick to just 2 pints because I couldn't afford any more. But I thoroughly enjoyed the evening. And as our American friend B.S. Gunner is saying, because Americans will buy anything, that's what the prices are. I just drift in a second while we're talking about beer. Andrew Ritchie's put he's going to have 2 pints with everyone on the 17th. Are you not drinking then, Andrew? Are you not drinking? You might as well not bother turning up, son.
He's going to have 2 pints with everybody individually. So yeah, work it out.
Can I just say, Trev, as well? I didn't realise last week. I don't know if you've listened to it back, but the comments are thick and fast this week again. But I didn't realise how much you actually did when it comes to the comments. It's like Ferg did praise you. To be fair, it's on a recording, so he can't deny it. But he was saying, it's normally you who presses the buttons there. And I didn't realise how much you did there. So hats off to you.
In fairness, Del, I used to press the buttons as well, but I had to give him something to do. And now that he's got that little bit of control, when I press the button, he then has a moan at me about pressing the button because I was pressing that one, and then he doesn't watch the ones I press. And he must have, so I just left him in charge of comments buttons on, and he can't do too much harm.
Dale, wake me up when he's finished bloody waffling on, will you?
Yeah, there was some great comments in there last week, and we touched on it and said, like, look, 'cause, I mean, I hadn't seen people from India and things and that before, so it was great to see some of these people from India, from America, all across the globe, really. So it was, but obviously people didn't see the comments. So I hope some people watched it back and saw those in there. So we appreciate all you guys from all over the world. So thank you.
A comment that has come out of how good the tours have been, monetary wise, for all the big clubs, and also some of the head-to-head games like Arsenal versus Man United, Liverpool, I think Chelsea were out that sort of way. All the big teams had gone out and played some big games. Trevor, a US Premier League game, Josh Kroenke was asked, and he's not up for it, but there's still an awful lot of talk about it. What's your view on overseas football? And if there was a fixture in the calendar that could be moved, which one would you say? And he's going to say the Northumberland Derby just to be awkward today, isn't he?
No, I'm not, mate. Listen, to answer that question, you've got to go back a stage. You've got to go back all the way to when the demonstrations took place outside the Arsenal Stadium a few seasons ago about the Kroenkes. And I think that was the beginning of the Kroenkes owning Arsenal seriously. That's my view. I know people have different views, but that sort of gave them the boot up the backside that they needed to realise that football over here isn't soccer in America. Football here is life. Football here is religion. Football here brings everyone together. Football here is very special. And if Josh Kroenke, let me put it to you like this: if Josh Kroenke had put a reply out last week to that question saying, yeah, I wouldn't mind a game in America, how would he have been? He couldn't. The man couldn't. I'm not even going to go at him for that. There's no way he could say he wanted a Premier League game in America, because the roof would have come off the Emirates. The roof would have come off. So, but I'm against it. I'm totally against it. I'll pay for my season ticket, and I want to go to every single possible game I can. And I don't want to be however many thousands of miles away it is watching my team play, whoever it is in the Premier League. But and as for what game would I move? None, Fergus. I wouldn't blight that even with a comment, mate. To be honest.
Okay, Del, if you were to move one, and one that was mentioned that I thought is probably the only one that would be maybe accepted or feasible, would be the Community Shield, the Charity Shield, the season opener with the FA Cup winner versus the league winner. It's a charity game. It's not a game of significance. Could you see that over there? You know, the New York Red Bull Stadium?
I'll be honest, no, because when you're in that sort of game, that's your season opener. And we wouldn't want to give up our trip to Wembley for anybody, right? I wouldn't personally want to see that over there. I'd probably send Spurs versus Chelsea over there or something. I wouldn't want it to be us involved in any way, shape or form. And that's purely from a selfish perspective, right? I get it, but it's called the EPL, the English Premier League, for a reason. I don't like the idea of it going overseas. It's not like they need the money, right? They've got the global fan base, they've got the global reach. Why would you risk upsetting the home fans in order to take it away? I agree with what you say on Kroenke. He couldn't say he was, even if he thought that it was a good idea, he couldn't say he thought it was a good idea. So I don't know. And I don't agree with it in any way, shape or form. I think you risk upsetting too many home fans for the sake of a few extra quid in the back pocket.
Hence why I said a game like the Charity Shield, because it's a season opener, it's a neutral ground, it's a charity game. It could raise an awful lot of money for the community, for a charity or something like that. It doesn't affect season ticket holders. It doesn't affect the Premier League itself. There's no home end, away end.
People who go to those games. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, I love the. I mean, like last year, for example, that first day at Wembley, we were all desperate for that day. We were all desperate and we loved it. How good was it as well? Like beating a team like City. That feeling there can't be replicated if you're watching it on TV. For me, that has to be in the UK.
See, it's really interesting, right? Really interesting. In that 2 points there is that, do Arsenal get a say if they say they're going to move a game to America? Do the Arsenal Football Club get a say, or is it out of our hands? Is it above the Premier League? Is it something UEFA might? I don't know. I haven't got a clue.
But it wouldn't be under UEFA's remit, you wouldn't have thought. There would probably some sort of exception that rule that had to put in, but they would have to have the 14. Wouldn't have to have the 14 clubs agree to it. But the majority of smaller clubs would, wouldn't they?
No, I wouldn't think so. Look, mate, the football authorities, as they are, right? Be it football clubs, be it Premier League, be it FA, be it UEFA, be it FIFA, they will do anything if it's going to make them a few quid. They don't care about us fans. The clubs, maybe they do to a certain extent, but above that, no. If Sky TV said to the Premier League tomorrow, we'll pay you £100 million to move one Premier League game to the States, there'll be teams chucking their hat in the ring like there's no tomorrow. The game revolves around the money, and the money. Look, we've had haven't we had? This isn't an accusation. This is just in my head. So if I'm wrong, I apologise. But we've had the top men of FIFA, the top body in football, prosecuted and put away for fraud, haven't we? Hey, so if it's going on at the very top, don't tell me it's not going on anywhere else down the food chain, because it most definitely must be. They were guilty, weren't they? Am I right, boys? Am I right?
I don't recall.
So if
100%.
On that level, it's going on all over this show.
One of there's a good comment in the chat now by Lawrence over in the States.
Yeah.
Now
Our friend Lawrence, he's shouting.
Yeah, you don't have to shout, Lawrence. We can hear you, mate. But one of the things that Ferg touched on, actually, which I think is a good point in relation to his comment, is if you were to move, say, for example, the Community Shield or Charity Shield, whatever you want to call it, across the States, yes, it would make a lot of money. It would make a hell of a lot of money. Two big teams, Premier League versus FA Cup winners. The question is how much that money would come back to the communities. Whereas at the moment, we know we've got a pretty good idea as to how much is actually given to each community, to each chosen charity, whatever it may be. In the States, I've got a horrible feeling something like that, where we wouldn't see that money. Some of that would go to the American bigwigs who want that revenue, the stadium owners, as you mentioned, UEFA. I don't know if there'd be any benefit financially to that. I don't know. I just think that comment kind of, like I say, $325. What's that? 280 quid for a game to watch Arsenal Liverpool. If someone said to you here, even if let's say like you pay double the price, right? For a Category A game, you're talking what, 150, 180 quid. That's still another £100 on top of that. It's all about money. I want to keep it all over here, every single thing. Sorry to those in the States who want to see it, but as a fan in the UK, that's how it is.
And listen, the great thing is,
Arnie's got the right idea.
What's that?
He wants to move 2 games a season to Iceland. That's fine. Yeah, as long as we can move one in this January, Arnie, because I'm in Iceland this January on a bit of a mini break. So if they move a game, they've got to do it in January while I'm there, mate.
Does that mean we get free digs, Arnie, as well? We get free digs when we're out there. He's offering his house as a B&B.
Listen, the good thing, as we said at the very start of this discussion, was Josh Kroenke seems to have listened to us over the ESL, and he seems to understand the club and understand what it is about English football and the Arsenal, and he's not up for it. So that will be at least one, but he's going to speak to other American owners, and there's I think 10, 11 clubs have got American owners in the UK. Trevor, last weekend, 3,051 people attended. Is it the City or the seat? What's the name of the stadium? I didn't write it down. That's why I didn't write it.
Bank.
Sincil Bank.
Sincil. Sincil Bank at Lincoln. It's a lovely stadium.
I was working from memory. So a good friend, Jamie Goulding, he used to do, when he was training to be now a paramedic, a lot of his ambulance work was done. He used to be there for the Lincoln City Games. But the flag that you said will go right around the country with us over land and sea for Super Kevin Campbell made a first appearance with you and your son, Brad. He's got just nearly as many tattoos as you, hasn't he?
Yeah.
How was it? How was the game?
It was my first Arsenal game of the season, so I was excited, Fergus, very excited. They said there was about 250 Arsenal fans there, but it was nearer 300 because there was quite a few in the seats where we were. We paid a bit extra, had a bit of hospitality, had sausage and mash before the game, a couple of beers, and watched the first half. The Arsenal under 21s were really good, considering they were playing a fairly decent League One team, and they had all their stars out. When they walked out on the pitch, the Lincoln City players were bigger and more filled out all over the park. You know, they were men, and obviously our under 21s were lads. But we started off play well first half. Second half, made a few substitutions, and I thought we just weren't on it as much. But we took the lead, went 1-0 up, but ended up losing 2-1. But when you think of the quality of the opposition, a good run out and a good result for our under 21s, mate. Yeah, good result.
You said is Arthur Okonkwo's brother is taking the mantle there. Arthur's gone to Wrexham. See, I was watching the WhatsApp chat this morning, and I already knew that anyway. By the way, Trev, that's just on the side.
Of course you did. Yeah, of course you did.
Yeah, I've been watching the program, but you said he made a couple of errors. Was it? He was just a bit sloppy.
Well, I think he was maybe he looked maybe like he was a little bit not confident enough. He wasn't commanding his box as much as I'd like. But young Brian Okonkwo did make 2 world-class saves in the second half. And I mean world-class saves. Absolutely brilliant saves. So his game's there. He's just got he's only a kid, and that's why he's in the under 21s. He'll improve, and hopefully he'll learn to command his area a bit more. That was the reason they scored their first goal. But yeah, not having to go at the lad at all. You can see there's a fine goalkeeper in there, but he just needs to build his skills, and that's what he's doing at that level, isn't it?
Dale, Lincoln City isn't too far away from yourself. Did you not fancy a trip?
Well, I would have done, yeah, if I got the invite, but obviously Trev had other things on his mind, so I had no plans this weekend either. So, yeah.
You don't need an invite, though. You don't get invites to games. You just go. You know what I mean?
Trevor invited 245 and forgot about you.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds about right. But yeah, now Lincoln's not too far, and they're obviously I live in Peterborough, or just north of Peterborough, and I believe they're in the same league as Peterborough. And Lincoln are always up there in like top 6, top 8 kind of teams, so they are a decent side. Always on the verge of the championship, and we all know how tough a league the championship is. And when you look at that League One table itself, there's 7, 8, 9 ex-Premier League teams in there. It's not an easy league like people think it is. So it's Yeah, tough one.
And it was very reasonable as well. I mean, it was a lovely lounge. It was a big hospitality lounge, had a nice bar in. You got, as I said, you got sausages and mash, nice padded seat on the halfway line, and the ticket was £17.50, eh?
Lincolnshire sausages may I add as well.
Yeah.
Nothing but the best.
Bargain. It was a bargain and a great day. Of course, I was with my lad, so I always enjoy having a day with my boy. But it was very good, and can't wait for the next one now, which will be Wolves. What's it? A week on Saturday, isn't it? Not long, boys.
Week on
Not
Saturday.
long, boys.
Listen, before that, we got the Emirates Cup. But before we move on to the Emirates Cup, I just want to thank everybody. This week, we got a notification from whatever algorithm that records how many people watched our podcast. I think we've been on YouTube since 2018, 2019. We've been around since 2017. And 50,000 of you have watched our show. So thank you very, very much for that. We also got 50,000 views, not individuals. That would be great if it was 50,000 individuals. And we've also got our audio fan base. We do appreciate anybody who listens to us as well as watches us. The Emirates Cup, we got Bayer Leverkusen on Wednesday night at 6:00, and then we got Olympic Lyonnais on Sunday at 2 p.m. Trevor, I'm not making my way down for
what's Lyonnais?
Lyonnais. Listen, it's the same as Martinez. Yeah, it's called an Irish accent just because you speak like we got a carrot in your mouth. So
anyway.
Lyon. Yeah. I'm not making my way down for either game. To be honest, I think it's only noble of me to forgo my seat for the Emirates Cup. I've gone a few times with the grandkids and family before, but it's not my cup of tea anymore. You, Trev?
I like it when it's over the weekend. You know, they used to do it over one weekend previously. So I preferred it in that format. It was a good day out for the family. You get to watch 2 games of football. It was good. I don't like this splitting over different days, especially a weekday. I know it's the school holidays, but people still have work, right? I would, if I was here, would I have gone down? Probably. I'd have taken my kids, but I'm not here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, I think
having a go.
I think that well done, Heath. That was very good. I think that is great. The Emirates Cup. I'm not going, but it doesn't matter because it's an opportunity, as Dal just said. People would take. I was speaking to someone this week. He's taking his 5-year-old grandson to his first ever game at the Emirates. You can't get tickets for kids like that. The tickets are just not available. So the Emirates Cup being available to families and the seats being available and not too overpriced gives an opportunity to go. Yes. So I think it's a great couple of days. As Dale said, it's nice when it's at the weekends, but I don't know why it's on a Wednesday and a Saturday this year, wouldn't it? Or a Sunday, whatever it is. I wouldn't have a clue, but I'm not going.
I think the season is starting a week earlier than it normally would start. So I think that's why it was crammed in between it finishing and with the Euros and everything else. I think that was just the time frame they could get into. There was even talk at one point of at the beginning of the season, or the summer, sorry, there was talk of no Emirates Cup, and it was type of cobbled together late on.
On that note, though, sorry, just a quick one before you move on to the Leverkusen game. One thing I've got to say is that I'm really not happy with certain parts of our fan base. I've seen tickets. It is sold out, right? Both games are sold out. But I've seen tickets being advertised for 100, 120, 125 quid for the Emirates Cup. It is a sellout, but people are starting to take advantage of it and like buying the tickets and reselling them on at stupid prices. And as you say, sometimes that price is out. People like Trev said, someone taking their 5-year-old grandson for the first time. People like that get priced out through people selling the tickets at inflated prices. It's ridiculous for a pre-season friendly.
See, the thing is, though, Dale, most of those, I mean, I've seen it myself on Twitter today. I nearly put a comment, but I didn't. I just blocked everyone. There was a tweet put out today about someone wanting 2 tickets for one of the games this week. And within seconds, there must have been 15 or 20 scammers had commented, contact me for tickets, I've got 3 tickets, I've got 4 tickets, I've got 2 tickets. The facts of the matter is, and people need to know this, we don't get enough viewers to get this message out there, but the facts of the matter is 99% of the people advertising tickets for sale on Twitter or X as it's known are scammers. Look at their profiles. look at their profile pictures, look at their history, you know, and don't buy off them. Don't buy off them. Tell them where to go. Don't lose your money. I know several people that have lost lots of money to scammers, and they're out. We're loused out with scammers. Loused out with.
Yeah, listen, we've known even more experienced people who have bought tickets before to buy tickets for overseas games and like European aways and stuff like that, and get done even within our groups, Trev, which we're aware of. Listen, we got Leverkusen and Leon on over the. See, I didn't even bother going down to give you guys an excuse to even have another go at me. And I'm expecting, well, Granit Xhaka should be back. A lot of the squad have returned.
We've got.
Have we got any players yet at Leon?
What ex-players?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Is Lacazette there? Where's Lacazette?
I don't know.
Did he come from there?
I
think he came from there, didn't he?
I don't know if he's there or.
I don't know.
Listen, on the Granit Xhaka note, though, he'll get a good reception. I mean, he deserves it. I like Granit Xhaka.
Let's talk about our team.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about our team. I'm just going to say to anybody who is going to have a great day and enjoy yourself, especially that those younger fans getting their first opportunity, have it really enjoy. Really enjoyed the day. Squad transformation and evolution is the next one. So a lot of the players are now back from the Euros. The last three to come in were Declan Rice, Aaron Ramsdale, and Saka from the England side, and William Saliba from the French side. They all returned to training. But you know what's really interesting, Trevor? There was a photo put up on, I think I saw it on Twitter, the evolution of the squad. The squad that Unai Emery took over, and subsequently so did most of it, was taken over by Mikel Arteta. There are only 3 players left in Saka, Martinelli, and Nelson for as long as he's left. How has this team changed?
Yeah, well, it needed to change, didn't it? We knew that. We didn't have a defence. We didn't have a midfield. We didn't have an attack, you know, that wanted to play for the Arsenal. So it did have to change, Ferg. And we say this so often, you know, I take Emery out of the equation because I think Emery was just unlucky. Emery inherited a club from a man that had left a legacy that was unworkable. So then in came Arteta, and the difference between Arteta and Emery, I think, is that Arteta got back in. The people upstairs had changed as well, hadn't they? You know, him that paid millions for Pepe was gone, so we had a setup that meant that the target was to win things for the Arsenal Football Club and nothing else. I love the way Arteta talks about how, you know, we're building and we're there. And I think, listening to what Arteta said recently, I think that Arteta thinks we're ready now. I've got a little bit of a concern that's come to rise in the last couple of weeks, but I honestly think, looking at him and reading between the lines, Arteta thinks we're ready to win now. He does. I'm sure he does.
And what does that concern you?
Well, having said that, Ferg, you see, what's concerning me is that, yeah, we had goals coming from all over the pitch last season, but you cannot beat having a quality striker, and we've not got the quality A1 graded striker, which is hard to find, I know. And we're clearing players out. El Neni has gone. Emil Smith-Rowe's gone. There's a couple more that look like they're on the way out. And so far, we've brought nobody in. So where does that leave our squad? Where does that leave our squad? For me, it leaves it a little bit light. Yeah, we've got some youth players coming through. But look at... We said we had some youth players coming through at the end of Arsene Wenger's reign, didn't we? We thought, you know, we've got all these youngsters coming through, but they've not quite made the grade, have they? They're very fine players, but they've not quite made the grade. So I am a bit worried that if I don't see any signings coming in, 2 or 3 signings coming in the next 2 or 3 weeks, have we got the squad depth again? It'd be interesting to know what people think.
Del, what's your thoughts?
I think defensively we are solid. I think we've got there's lots of talk about our defence, and I keep seeing loads of pictures of Calafiori at left back and the usual suspects there. People are forgetting we've got Timber. Timber's a quality player. Sorry, we've got plenty of defensive reinforcements. My concern, as Trevor said, is up front. Now there's talk of Eddie going to Marseille. Why we're turning down bids of what we're turning down for the sake of 3-4 million, I don't get. Anyway, that's a different story altogether. But there was, you may remember in the WhatsApp group a week or so ago, and over the last week we were talking, and both Lyle and myself were saying, you look at every team, every successful team, they have a big striker. They have a big goal scorer out there. We don't have that. And it's okay saying we spread the goals, which is great. And I love the fact we stretch the goals, but you spread those goals out wide and across the midfield and up top, but you add a 20 goal a season striker in there. That is what wins you titles. And that's what Man City have got in the likes of Haaland. That's what Liverpool had in the likes of Salah. That's what Real Madrid have got. Any successful team, they all have a big striker. We haven't got that. I'm not saying we don't have enough to win the league, because I do believe we do. But I think we cement that with a big striker. And as Trev said, then they're not 10 a penny out there. You have to go out and you spend big money on these players. I think that is a thing I think we really need. I think we really do. I think we've got cover for other positions at a push. Havertz seems to be our main man up top. We've got no plan B. With Jesus, for me, although he's had a great pre-season, isn't your 20 plus goals per season striker. I think we do need a big striker up top.
Trevor, we talk about like having to spend big, but we spend a lot of money on Hale End, and we bring those players through like Saka, Smith Rowe, Nelson, that Cheetah Martin that's gone to Man United, and there's others that are coming through that you saw at the under 21s, and there's also the under 18s. Not many of them make it through, but what is the ultimate pathway for them? It seems like if you look at Everton and look at Villa and Newcastle and Chelsea, what they've done, they've just moved them around for the sake of PSR, so they're just become commodities to bolster balance sheets. Look, are we doomed?
I don't think that we can compare ours with Chelsea. We're not in that league. We're much more respectable and a much finer club than Chelsea. But you see, going back to this about a goal scorer, Fergus, there's actually facts that can be attributed to that. In that last season, over the Christmas period, Fulham and Villa, wasn't it, and someone else, that
51 shots.
All of our midfield goals, Martinelli, Saka, Jesus, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and whoever else, or who we're relying on, Havertz, who we're relying on to chip in to be that bigger picture without a goal scorer. They all stopped scoring at once, didn't they? They all dried up. And we didn't have a striker that was going to lift us and say, right, I'm going to bang a goal in and get it going again. And it cost us the league title that period, It cost us the league title because we couldn't score a goal for fun. We were and we were making ground up the pitch. We were making chances. But as I said, the midfielders that we were trusting to score, chip in, all stopped. Their luck all ran out at once.
Yeah.
And then so we're making the chances, not scoring the goals. Whereas if we'd have had a big striker in the house, we could maybe bring on maybe a plan B, a big striker, but we'd have brought him in, and them chances, a few of them chances would have got converted, and we'd have been away again quicker. Because if you remember rightly, once we did get going again, we scored for fun, didn't we? Who put the ball in the West Ham net? Who put the ball in the Sheffield United net? Who put the ball in the Burnley net? So we were so close, and I honestly think we need that big striker, even if he sits on a bench after the season. Games like Fulham away and like the Villa at home. Or was it Villa at home or Villa? I don't know.
But Villa at home and away, mate. Yeah. It was both. Yeah.
Games like that is when you think, right, I just need to change it a bit. Let's stick the big lad on up front and see how it goes, And we didn't have that option. And I think that cost us, to be honest.
In that period there, we had 51 shots on target. Remember them 2 games, 51 shots. It was a big statistic going around at the time. It might have been 53, but that sort of region. And we got nothing from it. It was, wow. Yeah, it was huge. And I remember one player. I'll touch on it later.
I was talking to Dan. I don't know if it was last season or the season before, and saying, "Oh wow, couldn't we have done with a Giroud or something like that? Just something to put on the bench to change things up." The one player, go on while you got a mouthful of beer.
Ivan Toney. I've got the same feeling about Ivan Toney as what I had about Leandro Trossard.
How much is he paying you?
No, mate, I said the same about Trossard, right?
He played at Peterborough. I wonder if he's an agent of an agent.
But seriously, right? I'm not having all this. And the thing is, right? People will argue in the comments and on social media. I don't want to hear this. He's got a bad attitude, because
I
if you
don't think he
speak to
has.
anybody, well, he hasn't. You speak to anybody who knows Ivan Toney, including players like we'll use Peterborough United. So everyone praises his attitude. Brentford praises his attitude. People go, he's got. He recently showed it in the Euros because he was huffing and puffing about being sent on for the last 30 seconds of a game. Well, yeah, he got brought out to the Euros. Of course, he's got a right. He's human too. He's got emotions. I promise you now, he is what we need. You stick an Ivan Toney in that team, we win the league. I'm that confident.
A player like that, exactly. But Paul mentioned Ollie Watkins. I'd love Ollie Watkins. He's a bit younger and everything else. I think he is younger, but you know, you talk about his attitude. I said that, and you're going to kill me for name dropping.
Where's he going with his Trev? Here he goes.
In the local pub, and
who was you talking to?
I already said. So if you weren't listening, that's your problem. The response was, I come along and said I don't think he'd get on with Arteta. That Arteta wouldn't put up with. It would be too much of a strong influence. He's got an attitude problem, and I was told completely the opposite. The guy is very focused, very driven, but his attitude is impeccable. But you don't want to go too far back. Ian Wright. I'm sure if you were looking at him in modern day football with social media and everything else, people would have said he had an attitude problem. You do have to be there was a little clip from what's that podcast that they do with Roy Keane and that, and saying, you know, I can't. It's on my phone, but they're talking about being selfish. To be a striker, you do have to be selfish and a bit, you know, about your own outcomes, even though you are part of a team. Trevor.
Well, it's strange, isn't it? I mean, I was just sitting here thinking then about Toney and Watkins, and I was thinking about Kane as well, in particular from the European Championships that we've just watched. When England needed a goal in one of the earlier games, he brought Toney on, and Toney delivered, yeah? But in the later parts of the tournament, when we needed a striker, he went to Watkins. He didn't go anywhere near Toney again. So I'm wondering what Toney did wrong after he scored the goal to make Southgate suddenly go to Watkins instead. And if I'm honest with you, if I'm really honest with you, Watkins, Toney and Kane are decent strikers, but Kane is no longer a top striker. That was clear to see. And I don't think Watkins and Toney are top notch. They're probably the best we've got at the moment in the UK, but they'll be better coming through soon, I would think.
That's interesting.
I agree.
It's interesting.
Sorry, go on. I was just going to say, like, I mean, I like Ollie Watkins. I wasn't convinced about him till this season. I think this is his breakout season. I think if he does it again next season, then that's when I'll sit there and say, you know what, this guy's the real deal. But at the moment, after one good season in the Premier League, I don't know if I'd say he's 80 to 100 million pound player. I really like him. Plus, he's an Arsenal fan, which is there's various videos about him coming to say. But I just think when you look at the value for money and what we're looking at, and Toney, for example, is in his last year of his contract. Brentford praying they can hold on to him. There's talks of a cut price deal being had between 30 and 40 million pounds. He's going to get you goals, 100%. People say he's very similar to Havertz, and in fact, he's a big man. He's not. He's not similar to Havertz at all. He's got two fantastic feet and a cracking head on him. And I do genuinely believe that he is the difference between winning a title or not.
Fair enough.
So we had some incomings and outgoings. One player that has left. We talked about youth and prospects and a player that brought Arsenal fans together with the Saka and Emil Smith Rowe through lockdown, and looked a great prospect. Unfortunately, injury, getting games, and the fact that we've got a great number 10 playing in the number 8 at the minute. In Martin Odegaard, made it difficult for him to make his way into the team. But he did go and meet with some of his former teammates at Fulham. Have a look at this.
For those listening on audio, two topless men are currently having a cuddle.
I was going to say, I'm glad it panned down to show you their waistline then. You could see their trousers on.
Look, right. Arsenal Football Club, in a way, owes Emile Smith-Rowe a lot, right? And Saka, because they were the youth that came through and started giving us hope again. We had players playing for the Arsenal that loved the Arsenal and wanted to be at the Arsenal, and that was the catalyst. That, I know that word's a bit long for you, but I've used it, Ferg. Right, that was the catalyst for the fans going and the Arsenal going on the upward curve again, right? And I still think that Emile Smith-Rowe is a very fine player. I just think that Arteta doesn't fancy him, does he? You know what I mean? Arteta doesn't fancy him, so so he's moved him on, and that's what happens. You see lots of players moved on over the years, and they've gone to other clubs and had a damn fine career. And I hope that Smith-Rowe's gone there, Ferg, Dow, and had a really good career. But don't score against the Arsenal, because I can hate you in seconds. You know what I mean? Don't take them.
You know what? It's great what Arsenal fans found out when he signed. They were shown a montage of goals and things that he'd done for Arsenal, and I think the yeah, sorry, Paul. Yeah, it wasn't the wrong video for a second. A lot of naked men on there, and a six-pack the same as Trev's. Yeah, that was it, and the flowing locks as well of Iwobi. But people who come along to the final game for Fulham of the season is City. At Fulham, so Smith-Rowe's got to win the winner, score the winner for Fulham, and we'll win the league, and that would be absolutely brilliant. The next player that we have had signed for us was Riccardo Calafori. Personally, bar the Euros, I didn't see any of them. Dale, did you know any of this player or anything like that?
Never heard of him, truth be told, until the Euros. I was very impressed by what I saw from the little game time he had at the Euros. But what piqued my interest more is the fact that journalists outside of the UK were saying how good this guy was. There was articles going around about the next John Stones, the importance he has. He is extremely well thought of. You had the likes, some big Italian legends in the likes of Pirlo and Chiellini and people like that were saying they were gutted this guy didn't go to Juve, because Juve is obviously one of the biggest teams over in Italy, and they were saying Arsenal got one hell of a player on their hands here. I don't know much about him, truth be told. I'm excited because if the club believe that he's the sort of man they want to spend that sort of money on, and it is a lot of money, I do believe he's the right player to take us forward. I don't quite know if he's a left back like they're suggesting, because from what I've seen, he's kind of more of a left centre back, but he can play left back. I believe he can also play like hold midfield, if you will. So it'd be interesting to kind of see where he fits into the team. I mentioned earlier about kind of Timber, and we forgot how people quickly forget kind of Timber's on the books. It'll be interesting to see kind of what our starting back four is, and has he been bought as a left back? Does he know he's been bought as a left back? I don't know. Or is he there to provide competition for Gabriel and Saliba? I don't know.
I spoke with a guy today, an Italian guy today.
That was a Kevino, no.
That was a guy called Tony.
Kevino.
And he's a Bari fan, which is one of the southern Italy.
It's pronounced
teams.
Barry.
I'm
winding you up.
I don't bloody know. Leave it. But he was coming along and saying that he's definitely more a centre half than like a left back or anything like that. Trevor, what do you know of this guy? Kivino no Lano. That was absolutely brilliant.
Look, right. I don't know what this Calafiore is like, but he's got so many good reports, hasn't he? Everybody's singing his praises, right? And so, but looking beyond that, right, the great thing at them now is at the Arsenal. We're buying a defender, a quality act, but we haven't got to sling him in and expect him to be running in the best league in the world from the start, have we? He's got time. We've got enough players in defence to let him settle in, play the odd game, in and out, rest, get up to speed. So I'm really hopeful that we've got a quality act that over time will become a top player for the Arsenal. And I trust Arteta, so I have very little doubt that he will be.
What like you mentioned about the worry about the depth in the midfield? Who or what player wise would you want to see? Which players do you see needing replacing first, Trevor? Like Partey, we said about his fitness last year wasn't great. When he plays and he's fit, he's fantastic, but that's few and far between. El Nenny's gone, so we got no cover there for him. We got Jorginho, but they're talking about Moreno coming in from, is it Real Sociedad, who was at Newcastle. I like that. As much as I don't know a huge amount about the player, I like the fact that he's ex-Premier League with Newcastle, so he's got some experience. Where do you see, is that the area you see we need to strengthen more than anywhere else?
I think we need squad depth in the area. I'll be very happy to see Partey stay. I hope his fitness stays up, because I think at the end of last season he was a quality act, and if he could put in 3/4 of a season at that skill level, we would have a great player on our hands. I'm happy with what we've got all over the field, but I do worry. We've got Jorginho maybe as cover, and then I think to myself, well, what's happening next if we lose Nelson and we lose El Nenny? Who plays in the Carabao Cup, or who comes in when there's an injury? I'd just like to feel a little bit more confident at that level. I think up the top we're not so bad. Apart from if we had a central striker, I'd be very happy, because we've got Jesus, Martinelli, we've got Saka, we've got Trossard, so we're stacked nicely there. Rice, Partey, Jorginho. I want to see another class act come in there, Fergus, but I don't know who, mate, to be honest.
Dale, where do you see? Is it there, or is it cover for Saka on the right?
There's a big conversation and a big word been bounded around the last couple of weeks, and it's squad depth. We are very heavy in certain areas. Like we've got a lot of defensive cover at the moment. When it comes to midfield, I do believe we are a bit light. I like Marino. I don't know enough about the guy, but from what I've seen him in the Euros, I think he played all the games. He was fantastic. I would take Marino as he's more of a box-to-box midfielder, so I think he covers various different positions there. I still think, however, we are light on the right-hand side, especially if Nelson leaves. Nelson's looking to go to Leicester, I think he was linked with. But if we bring in a striker, then does Jesus pull out wide a bit? I don't know. But if I could say which positions we need additional reinforcements in, I'd probably say someone who can play on the right, kind of a midfielder, whether that be a box-to-box or a replacement for what we've just previously let go, and a striker. There'd be my three priorities going forward. I know Fergus had to pop off quickly, but what's your thoughts, Trev? I mean, do you think? I know we mentioned about obviously the cover, but what positions do you think we need most? You're on mute, mate.
Ferg just private messaged me to say that his nappy was leaking. He had to shoot. Oh, he's back. Hello, Ferg. How you doing, mate? All right.
Well, I got a mouthful of beer, mate.
AK Gunner's got a good point. We've forgotten about
it's better than a bladder full of beer, Dale.
Touche.
We've forgotten about Vieira, haven't we? I'm with jury's out for me on Vieira.
Yeah,
could get shot down here, but for me, he's not an answer at the moment. They must see something in him, because they're keeping him and keeping him about the squad, so they must see something in him. But for me, he's not the finished object by a long way yet. He's not the level of cover I would want if we lost Vieira, Rice or Partey or Odegaard or Jorginho for 6 weeks. I wouldn't want Vieira in the team for 6 weeks on the trot. I don't think we've seen that level from him.
Trevor, do you reckon Vieira's still in the squad and probably will remain in the squad for this season because of the new PSR and because of trying to raise the correct funds and so on, and moving on Nelson, Eddie and ESR because they're straight on the bottom line?
No,
my question was, if they weren't straight in the bottom line, do you think he would go ahead of one of them?
I would, me personally, I would say yes. Yes, but then I'm very biased in the way I feel about ESR in particular, and Nelson, in fairness, have shown that they can reach the levels, and maybe they would have got there if they'd have had a good run in this team, in this squad, not in the squad they first came through with. Push that away. In the squad we've got now, maybe at Smith Rowe, I would say that Smith Rowe and Nelson would have more chance of making it given time than I feel about Vieira at the moment. But they're obviously seeing something in Vieira. So, and as I say again, I trust our managers, so that's what happens.
Del, what's your view on that point before we close?
I think you made a very good point on one of our WhatsApp groups about a week ago when we were discussing ESR leaving. And I hadn't thought about it that way. You just touched on it then as well. There was no value in selling Vieira. We would make a loss on Vieira. I genuinely believe that if there was profit there to be made on him, he probably would have gone before them. I'm not denying there's not a player there, because there is. But I don't think I think he's too lightweight for the Premier League. Still seen nothing to convince me. People say it takes time to settle in. How much time do you need? Is halfway through his contract. I've still not seen anything to convince me that he was any better than what we've let go. I just think, as you said previously, I think you highlighted a very good point, and the fact that we have 100% profit on people like ESR, letting Vieira go doesn't make sense to make a loss on that player. We've just got to keep hold of him, hope there's a player in there somewhere, and he either comes good or we take a loss at a later date. I don't know.
It'd be a minuscule loss to what we've taken previously, isn't it? You think of Pepe, if it comes to mind straight off, and I know there's one or two others that I can't think of, but yeah, let's hope that Vieira does. I want every player that comes.
Ozil, Aubameyang, that we've got rid of players that we
gave those two players huge contracts, and they seem to pack in playing for us. Causes lots of debate, and rightly so. But we are only here to give our opinions.
That was the final thing I was going to say. When we look at Smith Rowe and we look at Eddie in particular, and possibly Nelson might still happen, but $100,000 a week for players that are on the fringes of the first team. If they were on the fringes of the first team elsewhere, maybe at City and some of the top sides. But elsewhere in the league, they wouldn't be on that money. And when you're dropping out of Fulham, I can't guarantee you. I can expect that Smith Rowe isn't on $100,000 a week anymore. He's probably on $50,000 a week with bonuses and add-ons and everything else.
When you break it down as well, so you look at the salary point of view. So Eddie's he's 1 year into a 5-year contract. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which means his annual salary on the money is
5.2 million.
Over 5. Yeah, so just over £5 million a season. So that's £20 million there over the course of his contract. Is Eddie Nketiah worth £20 million on top of his transfer value? Probably not, truth be told.
Yeah, but if you were to get 25 million for him, you save the 20 million plus you take.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Which is why there's been a lot of conversation recently about why do we turn down 27 million. But bearing in mind the figures being touted are euros, we turned down 27 million euros. I think if they match that value in pounds, it's probably there or thereabouts. But
and the thing is, when he signed that 5-year contract, we'll finish up on the deal. And when he signed that 5-year contract last year, and everyone, why don't we sign an Eddie for another? I easily went, right, give him £100,000 a week. It's $5 million a year. You sell him in a year's time, it's £20 million. You get your money back effectively, and that's good business. Otherwise, you let him go free last year. But I just feel the valuation of, in particular, Eddie seems to be excessive. Trevor, would you say? Who are we to know, really? Would you say Eddie is being overvalued by the club?
Value is value. Value is what a club's willing to pay. You don't look at the player and say, well, his skills are worth this much. I don't think nowadays there's much money in the game that you say that club's willing to pay that player that much money at that level. It's crazy, isn't it, mate? The money, when you think these players can't get in a first team in the Premier League and they're on £5 million a year, the game can it continue to survive? Even it's got to come to an end eventually, isn't it? It's got to come to an end eventually. Sky TV money goes. If the Sky TV money goes, what happens then? Half these clubs go under, don't they? Hey, who knows? It's not something. We're all speculating, aren't we? And we're right to speculate, and we're talking about it, but I haven't got a bloody clue. All I know is that £100,000 a week seems to me to be an exorbitant amount for anyone, and there's players on a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Paul, it was Marquinhos you're thinking of. There's a comment who was the winger played in Europa League, went out on loan. It's Marquinhos. I think he went to Derby. I think he's left the club now.
He went to Norwich as well. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought he was. I think he signed for Norwich in the end, but yeah.
Yeah, I think he's left us though.
Ross, good evening, and we're off. Sorry, mate. Yeah, you have been watching.
There you go.
Bubbles burst for Italian football. Yeah, it will do over here. Yeah. I remember in the 90s, everyone, O'Leary went over there, didn't he? Everyone went over for the money back in the day, didn't it, Trev?
Yeah, well, players went abroad to earn good money. Yeah, they did. Yeah. Because there was more money in those leagues over there. And nowadays, it's this league. They all come here, don't they? And the clubs are paying like massive amounts. Some clubs fell by the wayside, didn't they? Leeds tried to do it, and they fell off the scale, and it'll happen again. It can't go on forever. They can't tell me they're putting my season ticket up by, I don't know, 80 quid a year, and that's going to cover more wages,
But Trev, what's going to happen is not going to have people like you and me and Dell and Capo and that in the stands anymore. They will have more and more corporate seats with people sitting there and having an entertaining evening. It won't be the same. The atmosphere will die. It will be the death of football if that happens. The need to protect the integrity of the game and the integrity of fans. Listen, on that note, the noise that we love and the noise that we will have a week on Saturday, let's have a little preview.
Oh, I can't take it anymore. Can't take it anymore. Listen to the few people that watch us. Be excited about this season. And when you're as old as I am, you know when to be excited about a season. And I'm telling you for nothing, this season we're going to go somewhere and we're going to win something. I've just got it. I just know watching what we've done and the quality of manager, the quality of backroom staff, the quality of player. All points in one direction. Our recent history, all points in one direction. I told you earlier why we lost the league last year. Tiny little period of the season. And I'm sure that Arteta's working on fixing that. And we're going to push it. We're going to push. And I'm going to be celebrating at the end of the season. And at 62 years old, right? I ain't got many years left more going in me, mate. I'm falling apart by the week. So I'm going to have my shirt off every week. I'm going to be singing and shouting every week. I'm going to be drunk every week. I'm going to enjoy this season. And at the end of it, right, I want to be watching us lift the trophy. So look forward to it, boys. Look forward to it.
We will be back next week, 7:00 on Monday. We will be talking all things Arsenal. We'll be talking Premier League. These are the teams that we'll be playing. This is the lineup that we've got. We start off against Wolves, then Villa, then away to Villa, and then Brighton. International break, pointless. Tottenham away, City away with Champions League in between, and then Leicester City. It goes on. It gets. They're the ones that are confirmed. We'll also touch on TV announcement dates and games that are going to be touched on. And if we have any time, we'll even look at the Champions League. Trevor, Del, thank you very much as always for your attendance and your input. Really enjoyed it.
Likewise. Yeah. I'm not there for the Wolves game, so for those who are there, loud, proud like you always are, and
drunk.
I'll see you all at Brighton. Looking forward to it. My first game this season, so.
No. Listen, you have been watching Guns and Yellow Ribbons.
I might just take my shirt off now. Fuck it. I might just
by Arsenal fans, for Arsenal fans, get your tats out. Oh dear! I tell
you mean to go on.
Stick to audio, people. You do not want to see this. You definitely don't want to see this.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.